side is almost had it upside
I'll
down
get
again.
prepared.
I'm gonna buy you a pair of earmuffs or something.
I know. It is piercing. Thank you. Just one side, yes. I mean, I try to get my hair like over. It's.
40 seconds. Get ready to govern.
Yep. I've been ready.
Born ready?
Born ready.
I was born, the doctor spanked me with a gavel.
Not too loud,
When
Mr.
I was
Mayor.
born, my dad saying, Georgia, your daddy was high and then he dreamt of you. Boss gags.
All right. I'll now call to order this meeting of the City of Whitehouse Council for today, March 26, 2024. It is 6 p.m. Ms. Hargis, will you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. James Wansley.
Here.
Zach Briscoe.
Here.
Georgia Harris.
Here.
John Chambers.
Here.
Michael Lowe.
Here.
And Matt Lazarine. We have a quorum.
All right. I didn't plan this ahead of time, but Councilman Lowe, would you mind leading us in a
Yes,
word
sir.
of prayer?
Yes.
Please stand if you're able and join Councilman Lowe as he leads us in a word of prayer.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for all the many blessings you've given us. Help us not to make a decision tonight, but the best decision, the right decision for all our people. Forgive us of our sins. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. That sounded great. Please be seated. All right, that takes us to item D, presentations. There are none. All right, so that takes us to item E, community interest. Here are some items of community interest. Are you taking this one, Ms. Hargis?
I can.
All right, please do.
Municipal offices, as you can see, will be closed on Good Friday. That's March 29th. The Ministerial Alliance will have their Easter egg hunt out at the ball fields March 30th, and I believe that starts around 9 a.m. The Farmers Market also opens on March 30th. Ballpark opening day is April 6th. And the YCC kids will have their spring fair on April 20th in the park.
Excellent. All right, anything else from council in the matter of community interest?
I'm excited for the farmer's market to open back up.
Well, if you're going to see the eclipse, be very careful. Don't look at it with your eyes only. So, but it's going to be a big deal. I mean, it's not so much here, but going west, I mean, it's going to be big. And there's a lot of unknowns. So who knows?
Yes, sir, good advice. All right, anything else? All right, let's move down to item F, public forum. I don't believe anybody signed up for public forum, is that correct, Ms. Hargis?
That is correct, sir.
All right, so that sends us down to the consent agenda. There are two items on the consent agenda for your consideration. One of them is approval of the minutes of the city council meeting on March 12th, 2024. The other is to discuss, consider, and act on an interlocal agreement between the Department of Public Safety and the State of Texas, DPS, and the City of Whitehouse Municipal Court. So if council would not like to have any of these moved on to the regular agenda item, I'll entertain a motion on the consent agenda as presented.
I'll put in a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. With that, the consent agenda is approved. That takes us down to item H, other action items, ordinances, resolutions, and public hearings. Item number 1 is to discuss, consider, and act on resolution R 24-0326-01, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Whitehouse, Texas, accepting and approving the guaranteed maximum price, GMP, for the City of Whitehouse Center and authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with Watson Commercial Construction. You have an attachment in your agenda packet, report numbers 24-020 PDF. So I know that we have some people here with us. You guys have a presentation to make? Or are you just here to answer questions?
Mainly questions, I would say. I mean, if you had a chance to review the agenda item, and
Okay.
I think that was our actual GMP that we,
Would you mind coming up to the podium and introducing yourself, please?
I didn't feel right sitting back
Yeah,
there.
yeah, sorry, I made it awkward, I'm sorry. So your name and address.
I'm Brad Watson. I'm president of Watson Commercial Construction. My address is
Business address is good.
2233 Deerbrook Drive. That's in South Tyler.
Excellent.
I live out on Lake Palestine.
Okay, and can you repeat what you were saying from the chair, please?
Yes, we took bids on the project. We sent out 368 invitation to bids. That includes contractors of all trades. And what we received was 76 bids. And so that's pretty low percentage of what we sent out. And, you know, it's what we've been seeing for 3 or 4 years now with subcontractors and how much work there is in East Texas. Not only in East Texas, but in Dallas, because when we sent those invitations to bid out, we sent them to the Dallas market, DFW, to Houston, all across East Texas. So we didn't just limit it to local subs. We felt like the project was large enough and it had enough specialty items in it that required some specialty trades that are not common to East Texas, and you have to go to Dallas or Houston to find a few of those specialty subcontractors. So we sent invitations up into that area as well. But what turned out to be is what we see project after project, and that is a low turnout of bids. You know, we shoot for probably 5 bids per trade category if we can get them. We feel like if we can get 5 bids among all the trades, that's kind of that would be a competitive atmosphere, what we would consider to be a competitive atmosphere. What we got was 4 bids in some cases, 2 bids in other cases, and there's a few bids we just got 1 bid for. So, you know, to say that it was a competitive situation, it probably wasn't as competitive as it would have been 6 or 8 years ago when there wasn't so much work around. But quite frankly, subs don't need the work anymore. They just don't. I mean, you try to attract them because of the attractiveness of the project, you know, and try to get them to want to bid it because of where it is, who it's for, and the fact that it's a local project, it's a nice project, it's a clean project, and when they're through with it, it'll be a project that subcontractor or those subcontractors could be proud of because of the design of the facility and the way the building's going to look at the end is something to be very proud of when the project's over. So you try to attract the subs with that kind of mentality, but you know, it's what it is now. They're so swamped with work. They just, you know, they'll bid it. A lot of them bid it because we asked them to bid it, not because they needed the work. And because you know, we use them repeatedly on projects because they've proven they'll do their job and they'll do it right. And so we tend to drift towards those kind of subcontractors because they do what they say they're going to do. So anyway, we took bids. We brought the project in at budget through the use of some contingencies. We were actually over budget with the raw number, but because of some contingencies we had built into the project or into the budget initially, we were able to take those contingencies that we didn't need anymore because we were further along in the design development process of the plans. We didn't need those contingencies anymore, and we applied that against the overage to bring it in right at budget. So Nothing, I mean, it came in about where we thought it would. Most projects we bid now are over budget, and for a variety of reasons. It's not just that the subs don't need the work, that's not the only reason. When we put the budget together initially, we didn't have 100% completed plans. We had the architect's kind of first rendering of how he saw the project, and that's what we were distributing to subcontractors. And so that left them with having to make some assumptions and try to read things into the project that weren't shown on paper at that point in time. So they put together the best number they could at that time with the information they had. But the information they had was incomplete. And so once the architect was able to finish the drawings and get to 100% construction documents, 100% complete, and we reissued those to the subcontractors, and they were able to put together an accurate bid. And that's what we have here, is the results of their efforts in putting together a bid using the proper construction documents. But that also is the reason why it's over budget, is because when we budgeted to start with, we didn't have all the information that we needed at that time. So it's like, it's your best shot when you put a budget together. You're always faced with that, not having all the information you need. That's why it's called a budget, not a GMP. And so you try to be within 5% of that if you can with the actual number. So, I mean, I think we did a good job. I think we came in where we thought it was going to be, maybe not where we wanted it to be, but what we've seen on other projects recently is about right there where that is. So, I don't know what questions you may have. I may have gotten long-winded there, but just to kind of tell you how we got to where we're at with the number.
So any questions from council? We have in our packet kind of an itemized, or not itemized, but a categorical cost structure for this project. Is there any questions about
I
what you heard?
read through it and it all looks like stuff I understand very little about, but I did read through it and felt
So
that
we're at
accurate.
7,247,268 on the total maximum price.
That's
basically.
correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
And is this something that, you said that on some of them you just got a single bid. Is it something that you might rebid at some point along the way?
There's one in particular, there's one bid, acoustical plaster.
Yeah, I saw that.
And Eric and I have spoken about that, and that was from a contractor. That is a specialty trade, and no one around here does that. And we had to go to Dallas to get a sub, and we only got one. And Eric and I both looked at the number when we came in, and we thought, why it should cost that much money for that much plaster? So, but I mean, it was the only number we had at the time. So what we'll do is we'll go and we'll request some other acoustical plaster contractors to give us a bid, try to find a couple of guys that would work with us on it. And if we can get a bid in that's less and it's cheaper than what we have in here, then we would just take the difference between what we have in here and what the new bid is, the lesser bid, and we would put that in the owner's contingency and keep the contract amount the same, but it would put more money in the owner's contingency for you to use for changes or to get back at the end of the project when the project's over, either one.
So is acoustical plaster, I assume it dampens noise, it doesn't make noise? Because if it made noise, I could spend more for it, that'd be cool. But it's a sound dampening, that's the architect question, right?
Sound reduction.
I'm Eric Opperman with Randall Scott Architects. We actually have Randall Scott with Randall Scott Architects here. I think both of us can answer either of those questions. So the reason acoustic plastering is used is because, in a room like this where it's all drywall, it's all wood.
Yep.
That has a lot of sound reverberation. You can tell the difference when you're in a drywall box versus when you're in a room that has, carpet or acoustic ceiling tile. There's a lot of sound dampening that occurs. Mm-hmm. We have instances in this project, particularly in the main lobby and in the banquet hall, where there's a lot of hard surfaces, both for cleanliness purposes and for appearance purposes. The acoustic plaster helps dampen a lot of that sound, so you don't have a lot of that reverberation. So, we essentially have that acoustic plaster. The majority of it is in the banquet hall, which is a fairly large area of space. But yeah, as Brad alluded to and as Randall can attest to, you know, that number did seem high. Brad said that he only got one number for that. We would encourage Brad to continue to reach out to other subcontractors for additional bids in the hope of getting that number down.
So it sounds like it's something that goes on the walls to prevent you from having to have fixtures on the walls that would prevent,
It
like
would go
normally
on the
people.
ceiling.
Oh, the ceiling,
On the
okay,
ceiling.
right, yeah, okay. That makes sense, cause some people hang things, you know, on the wall that would dampen the sound. Okay, excellent. So that's a good example of, yeah, thanks for providing that example, that sounds,
It's gonna be worth every nickel.
I'm sorry?
It's gonna be worth every dollar to have the
Well, it's a
acoustic.
beautiful building, the architect did a tremendous job putting it together. Nothing like that, nothing like this building around here, anyway.
Mr. Mayor, I have a couple of questions.
for Mr. Watson.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Watson, will there be plenty of exterior water faucets and exterior electric circuits? Because if not, you know,
I mean, we can review, I mean, I don't know what plenty is, you know, but I mean, there are hose bibs and there are electrical outlets on the outside of the building, yes, sir. Now, that's something that is easily added at this point in the game because we haven't done anything. I mean, if you wanted to review the plans and say, hey, well, I'd like to have one here and one on each corner, whatever,
sure.
you know, we would need to know that now, before we get, get underway.
I think you've raised this question before, Mr. DeLoe. and it
I
was-
have.
And that was addressed, I believe so.
I just want to
There's
make
one on
sure.
each side at least.
At least, I know how it goes on, you
Yeah,
never
can't
get,
enough.
you get, you're right, Mr. Watson. It sounds silly, but you never get enough. You never do.
That's the way it is around my house.
That's right.
Ain't no damn-
In being in my business, being a sub, you wouldn't believe the $1 million, $3 million buildings that don't have an exterior water faucet. It's crazy. But anyway, thank you, sir.
Someone didn't think about it.
So,
Ms. Hargis, can you take a note to follow up on that? I think, so me and Zach are remembering that maybe there was another option that we could explore there.
If I may, I was reviewing the meeting that we had with the architect and Mr. Watson, just when we went over the bids that was asked and addressed at that time.
Good.
Because there was also the question of the flagpole. I realized that Ms. Black had asked for 3, but in that meeting, we also went back and said the 2 were sufficient.
Well, that's all that's in the job, so.
Okay.
Well, maybe I didn't catch that last part, but I want to be sure that, that if Ms. Black wanted a third one, it wasn't in the job.
Right, okay. But yeah, no, she was fine with that.
okay.
I'm sorry, Ms. Les, I think I called you Ms. Hargis. Apologize. All right, Randall, you coming up?
Yeah.
All right, Randall's coming up.
There's 3 alternates in the job, and I wanted to make sure that we went over that, so can you review those for them?
Sure. Sure, alternate number 1 was, at first we had a wooden pergola, or the architect had designed a wooden pergola, and we priced that out, and it was cost prohibitive, to say the least, because it's out of cedar. It was gonna be, it was expensive lumber that was being used, so we kind of switched gears, and we came up with the idea of an aluminum pergola that give you the same effect, but much cheaper, about half the cost. And it coming in at $75,000, I think it was.
And that's that area that's to the left of the building?
Yeah, right outside the banquet hall.
To the west end, yeah.
Right.
That makes sense.
75,203 for that.
It has some stone plants underneath the columns. It's a nice addition. If you could afford it.
And then alternate 2 was, okay, at the new main entrance to the building, we have a design of stamped concrete in a pattern, in a wagon wheel. I mean, it's an attractive, it's not just plain broom finished concrete. And that's in the base bit of the project. If you wanted to go to a broom finished concrete, in other words, it wouldn't have the pizzazz that the stamped concrete will have. If you want to go to something broom finish like you see everywhere else, there is a savings of $9,908 if you wanted to go to a less attractive concrete finish. And then alternate 3 is for the, on the west wall of the west wing, there was an alternate for putting stone, interior stonework. It's 2-inch thick stone on the wall rather than sheetrock, just to dress the banquet hall up. It'd be the west end of the banquet hall, just to dress that wall up a little bit, give it a little pizzazz.
It would be the wall that you walk past as you're going out to the park.
Yeah, the one with the stage and
Correct.
projector, I
Yes,
guess, thing.
Right.
Yeah. Which
And
makes,
that
it's gonna
was-
be the focal point of the room, it seems.
Correct. It was $16,406 additional to put stone on that wall.
Okay.
So I just wanted to make sure that y'all were aware of those things, so you could decide whether to include them or not. If you approve it.
So there's currently not stone on the wall, and we would choose to put stone on the wall?
There's not stone on that wall, it's an add.
Yeah,
The stamped concrete is in the base bid.
yeah,
The stone on that wall is not in the base
Okay.
bid, and the pergola is not in the base bid.
okay, right,
So the pergola is about 75, it's an add. The stone is about 16, it's an add. To use broom finish concrete in lieu of stamped concrete is a reduction of almost $10,000.
right. And the pergola was in the bid as cedar? Or
It
in
was
the base?
originally designed as cedar.
But it wasn't in the base bid at all?
It was
No
not in the
pergola.
base
It's just
bid.
in the artist renderings.
Okay,
It
gotcha.
is in the renderings, but it wasn't in the base.
So there's no cover at all in that area in the base bid?
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah, I think aluminum sounds fine there.
Yeah.
I know cedar can last a while with the weather, but I have a hard time believing it'll last as long as as aluminum. It does look a lot nicer.
It won't. It's a warmer feeling material,
Right.
and it will last a long time as cedar, but it has to be maintained more so than aluminum does
Yes.
also.
Oh, right. Yeah, I don't remember missing any kind of features along the westmost wall. I don't know that it needs stone. Is that something that can be done retroactively, or is it part of the base formation of the wall?
Could that be done at the
Yeah,
end
I
if
mean,
money was left in the contingency?
I
Could we do
think
it?
so, yeah. I mean, you're just really you're gonna put it, you're just gonna lay it in front of the,
It's a veneer anyway.
the substrate, you know.
It's cosmetic.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, not structural.
That's correct.
Okay, so,
You could
Yeah,
do
that's-
that, probably so. If there's contingency left at the end and you decided to use it that way.
there's a lot of stuff in the city that's not covered right now that I wish was, especially with like baseball fields, so I'd lean towards cover on the, on the pergola, cause there's so many times out of the year when it's, not bearable to sit in the direct sunlight, so. I'd lean that way, stamped concrete over brushed concrete. I don't know, it's hard for me to,
You're saying 9,000 more, roughly?
No, it would be $10,000 less if you delete the stamped concrete.
That's not
That's what I mean.
a significant spend on this amount.
yeah, it's not
No,
much.
I think, for a civic building, if it's a different type of building, a fire station or something like that, maybe not, but because it's a civic building,
Yeah, and that is the entrance, the public,
it
I mean,
is,
it's their building, they'll be coming in.
it brings some color to the front of the
It
building.
really does, yeah.
Because it's a stamped colored concrete,
Okay,
some texture.
well, y'all feel like those were noted well? Do we need to vote on those additions or changes, or are those just notes that we make to direction for the city manager?
I think we need to vote on them because
Yes.
2 of them will increase the guaranteed maximum price.
Oh, they will increase the guarantee, okay.
Well,
I understand.
Mayor, and since Councilmember Lazarine couldn't be here, he wanted to let us know that he is pleased with the city center maximum price.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, thanks for
Thank you.
sharing that. So, are we doing this through a single motion with these contingencies, or do you want more motions?
I think one motion would be fine as long as you word it where you approve both and then put any contingency, or not contingency, if you wish to have one of those alternates,
So
that
do
you
we,
designate which one.
do we think that we're only interested in the pergola?
I think I mean, the stamped concrete is, I think it adds appeal to the very front, like the first impression
Yeah.
people get to the building. That,
No, I liked it in the renderings, it's,
You know, I guess my only thought, and I wanna do it right, don't get me wrong, and I can, say yes to this 7.2, but we had talked about in a couple meetings, what does a $6 million option look like? I mean, we've seen basically one option. To leave money to do other things around the city, so, I know there's options to hire, third parties to look for cost savings, to try to pick up some funds there. I mean, do y'all have any thoughts around that?
yeah, that was the approach that I think CASA took, where they had somebody that was on site that had a really clear vision for the facility, and their job was to find ways to reduce line item costs in a way that would still satisfy the vision of what they were trying to do as an organization. It wound up being kind of cheap insurance from them and a cost savings approach to moving forward. So it's not unprecedented. So that would be a little bit extra cost. We would add a little bit of cost to construction to make sure that, definitely the thresholds aren't met, but if there's any way to reduce the overall cost of the project to get, like you said, if there's a way to get to 6 million instead of 7, that would be the purpose that they serve. Any thoughts on that?
that's something we would do, like, not right at this second, but.
It's something that is a part of the GMP. I think this is the way it works. As a part of approving this guaranteed maximum price, we would also authorize the city manager to hire somebody to take that role during construction.
Okay.
And if that's something that works out on this project, it could also flow over to the,
I mean, but
the
should
next
we actually make an approval for that right now when it's not on the agenda, or should we request that that be put on the next agenda?
I mean, it can be added to this motion
Okay,
as a secondary motion,
okay.
is my understanding. I mean, it's a big spend, and I think it
Yeah.
helps us be good stewards with the money.
Sure.
So do you feel like you have your head wrapped around that motion,
I do.
Councilman?
I do.
And that'll be with the other two contingencies too. So it'll include that in the motion
Alright.
as well.
I can make the secondary motion, if somebody wants to make the GMP motion.
Okay, so I'll make the motion that we're gonna approve the guaranteed maximum price, the 4 alternates of $7,247,216.50. And that is authorizing our city manager to execute the agreement with Watson Commercial Construction. And we would like to add to the GMP the cost for alternate 1, which is to provide the aluminum pergola for some shade for the outdoor seating area.
And the
And then I'll make these, do we need to approve that one first?
If you're making two motions, you have to.
Approve them one at a time, okay.
We're keeping the stamped,
Oh, keeping the stamp.
Right,
Okay.
right.
so we don't have another alternate.
So, yeah,
alternate.
well done.
Okay, so that's the motion.
There is a motion on the
Second.
floor and a second. Any further discussion?
Did you also put in there that we're authorizing the resolution?
No. Okay, sorry. And we're also authorizing the resolution number R24-0326-01.
Still second.
All right. Does that cover it for you, Ms. Hargis?
Yeah. Okay.
I think we all know what we're trying to do. We're just making sure we're doing it right.
Yeah.
It's a lot of words.
Yeah.
All right, I have a motion and a confirmed second from Councilman Chambers. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed say no. With that, the motion carries unanimously.
So I'd like to make a secondary motion to authorize the city manager to use an independent contractor to work with Watson Commercial Construction and Randall Scott Architects and city staff to find opportunities for value engineering for the city center project.
Second.
All right, we have a motion there and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. With that, the motion carries unanimously. All right.
Good.
That, that's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
There's been over a year of planning went into this, and
Yeah.
the city staff and Randall Scott Architects, thank you very much for driving down to Dallas and working with us. And Mr. Watson, we're really happy that you guys are involved in this project, and we're looking forward to working with you. So thank you very much. All right, that takes us down to item H2, discuss, consider, and select planning and management services provider to complete application and project implementation for the Community Development Block Grant, the CDBG-MIT Resilient Communities Program, RCP, funding administered by the Texas General Land Office, resolution number 24-0326-02. You have a report for this agenda item in your packet, and with that, we will turn it over to Ms. Hargis, is looking at me. All right, Ms. Hargis.
Mayor and council, before you tonight, for your consideration, is the selection of a firm to provide planning,
Sorry.
that's okay, planning and management services to complete the application and project implementation for a community block development grant funded by the Texas General Land Office and approval of a resolution authorizing the same. The grant opportunity offers a maximum of $300,000 that does not require a local match, which is awesome. Staff was excited to discover this chance and then to learn that Whitehouse could possibly qualify to receive these funds, since we typically do not meet the low income threshold required by most CDBG grants. Staff has been discussing the need to update our building codes, zoning ordinance, comprehensive plan, flood prevention, and hazard mitigation ordinances for some time, as well as a unified development ordinance. And if we were to receive this grant, that would check off most of those boxes for us. Staff advertised for proposals from firms in February. We did receive 4 responses from Half, Kimley Horn, GrantWorks, and Langford. The responses were scored by Councilmember Zach Lowe, City Manager Leslie Black, and me. The scoring criteria and final scores are listed in the report. And staff is recommending that, Half did score the highest, and staff does recommend selecting them and approving the resolution.
Excellent. Any discussion or questions from council? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to select Half to provide planning and management services to complete application and project implementation for the community development block grant mitigation CDBG-MIT Resilient Communities Program, RCP, funding administered by Texas General Land Office, and to approve resolution R24-0326-02.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. With that, the motion passes unanimously. All right, that takes us down to H3, consider future agenda items. I didn't skip it this time. Here are the items set for future agendas.
So these are some of the same that we had from the last council meeting that Ms. Black had.
Where will these new park concept plans be coming from?
I believe that will be Half an associate.
That was what Half put together? Okay. All right. And the Hagen Road drainage project, just can't get all the water off that road. We've made a stab at it a couple times.
Yeah.
And additional projects from the Veterans Memorial. Do you know what organizations those are coming from?
I think that's things that we, like adding electrical and things like that.
Oh, understood. Okay. So not necessarily more memorial items, but just
No,
kind of
just-
adding to what's already there?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Anything else to add to future agenda items? All right,
You skipped the, reports.
no, yeah, we need to do, my daughter's calling me. Can we take 5 minutes, please?
Sure.
We'll be adjourned for 5 minutes, starting. Hello?
We did cover the, interlocal agreement,
Yeah,
Department of Public
yeah, it was
Safety,
part of the consent.
on the whole agreement. Okay. Boy, I like these, reports. Really help.
There it goes. Now that I'm on a presentation mode, now you can see I.
Whatever tool this is slow to load if you're not on an actual computer.
Yeah, at first it like almost crashed on my phone and then it came back up and it took a second.
All right, I called 5 minutes, but I'm ready to reconvene if you guys are.
We're reading.
Ready?
All right. So the time is 6:35. We'll now reconvene into regular council session. We have reports from staff. We usually just kind of comb through these.
Me too.
I have one question, Mr. Mayor.
Permits jumped up
About this?
again.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Are we getting closer to the franchise tax folks that are working behind the scenes?
They are still, receiving, information and going through the research.
So
on
it's
that.
all preliminary still?
Yes, sir. They're still
Okay.
working on that. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Nope, no training hours.
No fire training hours.
What do you guys?
last 5 years either.
Mine loaded.
I wonder what happened there.
Oh, go ahead and hit,
We don't know.
Susan, hit refresh on
Yeah,
that.
cause mine loaded,
Oh, I'm sorry.
so. They're good.
It's like my mom with me and my brother always calling us by our different names. I've gotten YouTube mixed up a couple.
There we go.
Okay, that's better.
There we go, our training's back.
Well.
If I'm going too fast, let me know.
No, you're doing
You're
good.
doing good.
So I hear kind of countywide or maybe even service area wide, Meals on Wheels is cutting down
Yes.
on some of the things that they're doing. They have 300 signups in their backlog for people. So
Wow.
talk about an organization that needs help from the community. They provide a huge service. Sometimes the only people that the seniors that they serve see throughout the week are their Meals on Wheels delivery drivers. So it becomes a meal and a welfare check. So if you have any bandwidth, time-wise or financial-wise, give them a call. All right, KWB hours, I guess so the trash off might not be on there.
Not yet.
We, had some fun at the park this Saturday.
Shoot, we'll show up next month, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, any questions on this from council before we move on to the next thing?
No questions from me.
No.
All right, everybody happy with the income statement that was included in the packet?
I am.
All right, moving on to item J then, executive session, which we have none, so we're, no need to reconvene, as shown in K. We'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
A
Second.
motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed can stay here. Time is 6:39. They're adjourned.
All right.
Ms. Hargis? You go? You go see